Africa television, you are doing well. Today we have a particular guest. He's coming from Western Africa, from Ghana. And let us discover it together. Hello, Prof Nii Quaynor.
Hello.
Welcome on Africa television.
Thank you.
Please.
Yes.
You are the chairman board of the West and Southern African Research Network.
That's right.
And you are one of the very few African experts on the blockchain technology and cryptocurrency. Please tell us a little about yourself. Who is Professor Nii Quaynor?
Prof Nii Quaynor is a humble programmer and one of the first PhDs in computer science from Africa. I teach at University of Cape Coast, and I also, run businesses, and I work in the internet community to establish some of the technical institutions that govern the internet, such as the Numbers Registry, the CCTLD Federation, the emergency response teams, and the research networks, and so forth. I work for WACREN as a chairman, and WACREN is promotes research and education networks in countries, and then it attempts to interconnect these national research education networks and provide them access to other regional networks, such as in Europe, GIANT, or in the US, Internet 2, or in Latin America called Red Clara, or in Asia called APAN. So that's roughly what I do, but my area of expertise in computer science is in operating systems. So I'm a computer architect and I teach algorithms at the University of Cape Coast.
Thank you, Professor. You are very busy, we know that. Every part of the world, the person wants to get to know about your place. You are the chairman of the West and Southern African Research and Education Network. What is that organization?
Okay, that organization is a regional research and education network. And the objective is to support countries establish what we call NRENs, national RENs, National Research Education Networks. Meaning, for example, in Cameroon, I think you have a RIC, and RIC is supposed to interconnect all the universities and all the research organizations together. And then the job of WACREN, because we cover West and Central Africa, is to help RIC now interconnect with the other NRENs in Africa, and then also connect them to Europe. That way, researchers in the Europe and in Africa can collaborate, let's say on climatic research, or maybe on research related to seismic activity, or agricultural research, or health research, and so on and so forth. Because these days, research requires global collaboration. And so the job of WACREN is to help the countries in the Central and West to join the rest of the global researchers in doing meaningful research.
Thank you so much.
A pleasure.
During these 3 days, in conference of Yaoundé in Cameroon, we were speaking about blockchain technology and cryptocurrency for Cameroon. Please, what is the blockchain technology?
Okay, blockchain technology brings two main techniques for computer scientists and application developers to use. The first technique has to do with an ordered permanent set of records. It is ordered in the sense that you can tell which of the groups came first. And then the second thing that it brings is that it makes it transactional, meaning that it's not necessary to have an intermediary for us to trust each other.
I see.
Okay, meaning I can transact business with you without working through a bank or without working through some other central authority. Because if we can trust each other, then we don't need a central authority. How do we trust each other? We are going to be using public key as identifiers. And in public key, you have two keys, one which you keep and one which you tell everybody. The one you tell everybody is the public key. And that public key can be turned into an address. So if you want to communicate with me, you know my address. And if I want to spend something, I can show proof. Using my private key, I can sign something that when you see, you can be sure it's from me. This is what we call the zero knowledge proof, meaning that without you having to do a lot of work, you can immediately confirm that it is from me. And these two main techniques of permanence and transaction can change everything in how we do business in the world and in Africa.
Thank you so much. And we know that normally one of the area of application of blockchain technology is the cryptocurrency as Africa coin. Please, Professor, how can cryptocurrency help Africa continue to grow economically? Okay.
Simply that the cryptocurrencies are internet-based and they are borderless and they don't depend on an intermediary, which means that we can do business more quickly than if you go through an intermediary. And we can also do business in a way that it goes beyond a town, a country. It can cover a region because we don't have jurisdiction constraints. Besides, we have full documentation of every transaction because there is a blockchain in which the transactions are kept, which is very transparent. These blockchains are often open, so anyone who wants to verify anything can indeed verify. And that makes it a very formidable tool to have. Now, if we focus on the cryptocurrency, you can just imagine that when I send money to you, money goes from A amount of money to B. That's typically cryptocurrency. But we can also think of cryptocurrency as a programming paradigm. It's a method of programming. Because if I change the A to a program name and the B to a program name, then it is like program A is calling program B. So it's a new way of programming. Instead of saying this procedure, call this procedure, or this function, call this function, I can say that function A sent a token to function B, and the token is a parameters. So it's even, and if you do that, then it means all the function invocations are in the blockchain. So you can study things like forensics, what happened, and you can know exactly which function called which function, which today you don't know. You see? And then at the same time, you can do studies on preconditions for calling functions. If you're going to call a procedure, there must be some preconditions. And those preconditions can now all be studied if you just view this as a new programming paradigm. In fact, I even envisage that tomorrow, the way we write programs is we start by creating tokens. And then we end by destroying the tokens. So I create tokens just to help me write my programs, and then afterwards I destroy the tokens. So it's not, programming now will turn into using token. We call it token programming. So there are many, many new things coming that will change the way we design software, and it includes use of tokens as well.
Yes, Professor. But we are saying the good things in another country. The development of blockchain technology in USA, in Japan, in Russia, in Germany, in UK. But on Africa continent, we are saying something. We are remembering that some leaders, some Africans have some reluctance. They refuse to adopt one emanation of blockchain technology as cryptocurrency. How can you explain that?
Okay, no, because cryptocurrency or blockchain can displace intermediaries. So it can have an effect on banks, okay? It can have an effect on all registries, lands registry, telecommunication registry, anything that is a trusted intermediary can be affected. So it's normal, it's natural for government to be concerned because he's not sure what the impact on these existing institutions will be. And so I'm not surprised. You remember when internet came, government was also not happy.
Afraid about the internet.
Yes.
So we see now,
but it can't.
About internet.
Now government.
The government want to control internet now.
Well, they can try, but some things cannot be controlled. Some things can be stimulated and guided. One of them is internet. Another one is cryptocurrency. Another one is blockchain itself. Because cryptocurrency is the first application of blockchain, and blockchain sits on the internet. So it has the same features as the internet.
But they have to adopt it.
They have no choice.
They have no choice.
It's only a question of time.
So if they refuse to adopt it now, in the future they will regret it.
Yes, the same as we regretted the internet. It took too long.
Africa now are late about on internet.
We are late about everything technologically.
Yes, because you refuse to adopt it in the moment.
Yeah.
Okay. You know that one of our philosophy is to federate all the researchers and the specialists in Africa. So please, what can you advise to federate all the researchers and the experts on blockchain technologies? So before the end of next year, 2019, we have the African blockchain on Africa. What can we do?
Okay, there are elements of it forming. Every year, there's a program called AFNOG, the African Network Operators Group. We just had a meeting 3 weeks ago in Dakar, and there are usually over 500 people who attend. And about 200 are participants, students who come for workshop to learn routing, server services, and so on. We also run tutorials there on blockchain, and some of our colleagues come from MIT. In fact, there's a gentleman from Cameroon who is at MIT who comes to teach blockchain at this particular workshop. So there are some pieces of it forming. What I can advise is that it has to be organic. Meaning people have to come together by themselves. So like I've come here, we are together. So the next time I'm doing an event, I will invite you. I'll make sure that the next AFNOG meeting, you are invited. And then we try to invite many of us, and we start to meet. And as we meet, it will become a natural thing. And so it has to be organic. And the federation will come by groups wanting to cooperate. Okay, and yes, it will have to come like that. And so we should rather maintain touch. One of the first things we can do is to establish a mailing list. Let us just establish a mailing list, and the mailing list will be for us to get to know each other. And then as we begin to discuss, you will begin to see projects that we can cooperate on, and then different people will work on the different projects and see how well we go.
So we are continuing to search. So in Africa, out of Africa, if they are the specialists in blockchain technology and cryptocurrency, we need you. We want to work with you. You can contact us. You can contact the professor.
Yes.
We'll be very happy to work with you because we want to show another view of Africa, another image of Africa. So, Professor, tomorrow morning you have your flight. You will go directly to Dakar in Senegal, or you go to Accra?
Okay, I go to Lomé, and then from Lomé I go to Accra.
Okay. Thank you so much, Professor. I was very happy to receive you on Africa Television. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
So,
and lots of luck.
Okay.
Okay.